still says off air. It says the hangout on air is live. All right, we're live now. Thank you so much. You're probably like, what
Of
the
course.
freak? What's happening? And I decided that I have some really interesting conversations with people. And I often say like, "Oh, that was really interesting." It's a shame that like other people couldn't like listen in on what we were talking about. And so when I'm not like writing up, some blog or anything like that, or recording myself talking about something software related, I like to have conversations with some people I know and other people that I know nothing about. And just wherever it goes, it goes. I really have some questions. I want this to really be an interview. I just want this to be like us just talking
Mhm.
and maybe geek out wherever the conversation takes us. So the whole point of it is like two techies that just engage in conversation.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I was just reading yesterday that the way people learn best is dialogue, both by listening and participating.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I think I was in Tampa, Florida, and I want to say like this was probably a while back. Like, ooh, was it a while back? Man, this
I
this
was to say the other day.
this may be like 4 years ago.
The
How
other
long
day.
how long have you been a conference speaker?
This is my fifth year.
Okay, so maybe it was 4 years ago. I was like I was like laying in my bed playing like YouTube videos. Okay, that first part doesn't sound right. Playing YouTube videos, and I like to like learn or whatever. So I typed in software craftsmanship. I don't know what I did a search on, and I was listening to you give a talk, and like it was really different, and I mean that in a good way because one is I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm a guy is dominated by men, especially of a certain demographic.
Yeah.
But the way that you were delivering your message, you were like so like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but you were like so animated. You were, or
Yeah,
maybe a
of
better
course.
term was you were so engaging. I think that's more politically correct. I have to be
Don't
really careful what I
exaggerate.
say. You were really engaging, and like you were on that platform for at least an hour, and you were talking about. I watched a couple videos of you. One of them was talking about Scala. Another one was talking about property-based testing. Did you give a talk on property-based testing?
Yep.
Okay, all right. I didn't want to confuse people. And so like, unofficially, I'm one of your groupies. I don't talk about you
Oh,
much, but like seriously, like you're somebody that I look up to that I haven't really harassed. I know I sent you a couple or I referenced you in a couple tweets, but
yeah,
like
thanks.
I don't harass you like I harass Mark Seaman or Scott Blanchen. Those people, I get on their nerves, and they're really kind because they haven't told me to go away. One person has. He's really popular. He's a really
Oh,
popular conference speaker, and he pretty was like, Scott, can you not include my name in anything that you tweet anymore? I'm like,
really?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then I suspended my Twitter for like 2 weeks, and then I got
Oh,
my feelings back, and I went back. So thank you. Like I really appreciate it. I was really surprised when you accepted my invitation because I'm pretty rude. I'm like, hey, you want to record a conversation with me? And I don't go into detail at all. And it's
you
either
don't get if you don't ask.
yeah. Well, I'm learning that, but
Yeah,
yeah.
we
Thanks.
I was having a conversation with one of my best friends the other day about ask culture versus guest culture. Do you know that thing?
No, I never really heard it before.
Okay. So, um, this is probably something that comes up in the poly community, but there's people who are part of ask culture are it's always okay to ask and it's always okay to say no. So my family is totally like that. We'll just invite you over or we'll invite ourselves over and if you don't want that then you just say no and we're like okay cool um and and that's what I grew up with and I'm totally used to that, but I think probably a majority of people are grew up in guest culture where you're supposed to figure out when it's appropriate to ask for something. You're supposed to like read people's minds and figure out what they want and do the appropriate thing in the situation.
Yeah, that's me.
And you hardly, if someone asks for something, you you pretty much give it to them, or you feel an obligation. I should say you feel an obligation to give it to them. And so you're not supposed to ask unless you think it's appropriate and actually expect the thing. Yeah, and that's so not me.
Okay.
And I'm like, what do you expect me to read your mind? No, I'm not going to read your mind. People don't read minds. That's not how it works. And I guess if you like share a lot of cultural background, you really can kind of guess what is appropriate in a situation. But I find that really limiting.
I had this conversation last night with Rick Pack. I recorded a conversation last night, and we were talking something similar where he's like, hey Scott, have you ever considered reaching out to people that are at the level that you would like to aspire to be, and ask them for some support, some assistance on how to climb to their level, or even to plug you in or whatever, for lack of a better expression. And I was like, oh no, not really, because I mean, I don't like asking people as a bottom feeder, as a peasant, someone that's not there yet. I don't feel comfortable asking people to help me if I'm not offering them any type of value, right? I feel like people that are, I'm somewhat interested in this whole theory of law of attraction. I understand I'm a really logical person, but I experienced something that kind of reminded me of that whole idea several years ago. And so, why am I saying all this? Let me get my train of thought back. Why am I saying all this? Oh, okay, I lost my train of thought. But anyway, I kind of believe that there's like hundreds or thousands of people that are reaching out to these people that already have this abundance. And I feel like I'm lowering my value and will absolutely have no chance whatsoever at my current state if I ask this person to help me and I'm not offering any value, not offering any type of support for them, and all I'm doing is take. I don't want them to perceive me as a taker. I'm a selfish bastard, but like I don't want them to know that. So this is a reference to what you're talking about asking you shall receive, whatever biblical scriptures that may be out there.
It's more like if you don't ask, you won't receive. I mean, you really do have zero chance then.
I think as human beings, the default answer is no.
Really?
Well, at every job I worked at.
But is that as human beings, or is it as like cogs in the wheel?
Or insecurity.
Pressures on us at work of what you're supposed to do. And like, I mean, like at Stripe, there's definitely a default to yes. I mean, if I ask somebody for something, if they can help me with it, they're going to help me with it. And part of that is because we don't have a lot of pressure to, oh my God, you have to be working on exactly this one thing. We're all in it to help Stripe succeed, and we get a lot of pleasure out of helping each other. I can, to some degree, asking someone for something is, my mom would say, giving them an opportunity to receive a blessing. And I'm not religious anymore, but I will totally use her phrasing. It works.
Yeah. So the only thing is, I guess, if I could provide context, usually something that I would ask for is, can I do this in F sharp? The answer is going to be no. And if there's any other tool, right, that's pretty abstract. If there's any other tool that I think that there would be some benefit in using, and the default answer is, if you're ignorant about it, then say no, and there will be no side effects.
No, that was a different. We were talking about different kinds of questions there, because I was talking about will you questions. Will you help me with this? And you just asked a can I question.
Well, okay.
So why? Now at Stripe, I was talking about will you questions, and I'm usually going to get a yes to that, or else a referral to the person who could better do it. or to the manual. But on a can I question, yeah, the people are much more inclined to say no to those.
Okay.
And then you
That's
get
my
the,
experience. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like, yeah, and like even saying that is like granting them authority over you, which at work they probably actually have.
Well, so again, I'm a selfish person, but at the same time, if something software development is still a practice, at least with me it
Mhm.
is.
Oh yeah,
I do a
always
lot of
is.
practicing outside of work, so I can minimize my mistakes at work, right? And so when 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 I'm asking to leverage some type of tool to increase my productivity
Mhm.
or the receivers of value. I'm getting so logical. Basically, when I want to like leverage something that I think will be productive, like people that are ignorant about it, and I use ignorant in a nice term, maybe
Right,
unaware
like
of it. I
literally ignorant.
mean,
Yeah.
they're going to say no. I would say no if I don't know what it is and I haven't felt the pain of it. Oh, like nah, you can't use that. You keep using C sharp, or you probably work in the Java shop. You keep using Java, so it's like,
No, worse, Ruby.
huh?
Worse, Ruby.
Oh, Ruby. Okay. Oh, I thought Ruby was okay, but I've
Oh,
only done.
okay, let me rephrase that. Untested asynchronous Ruby.
Okay, hold on. I thought no, that's JavaScript. That was C.
Ruby
Oh,
written
okay, okay.
test first is very different because then you have like ways to know you're not breaking stuff.
But
But I don't have that.
you're supposed to be like, yo, I listen to all these talks that you give. You're supposed to be like, I don't know if it's called bleeding edge, cutting edge, but you're supposed to be doing that Elixir. Like that's
Oh,
the next generation of Ruby,
I haven't
no?
actually done Elixir, but I do Elm in my own time. But it doesn't matter what language I work in so much as that I'm doing something useful. So as some months ago, I like voluntarily like made myself this position. I switched over to working on the deployment system, which it does have some tests around it now because we've added some. But I
Isn't
took over a
Stripe
legacy
I thought
project.
I thought Stripe was like some credit card processing
Mhm,
app.
yeah.
Oh, so you have some tests around it?
Oh no,
Really?
no, oh no, there's tons of tests around the API.
Okay. All right.
API is fine, but this was an internally developed deployment tool. And it was well tested in the sense that every time we use it, we tested it
Oh,
because
okay.
when only the developers use it, you run it, there's a problem, you fix it, and then you run it again, and then it worked. Great, you just passed your test. But the team had grown way too large for all the developers to be able to, so it needed a specific maintenance team.
So you know what I've learned, and maybe my experiences are like special cases, when I believe in automating everything, right? And so
Mhm.
I've worked at very process intensive shops where once you crank out a feature and you want to deploy it to production, you have to fill out like these Word and Excel documents, like
Oh
several
my
of them,
God,
you
that's
know.
horrible.
Yeah, so like the engineer and me, I'm like, man, bump that. Yo, I done did this 2 times already. It takes me like 15 minutes to fill out all this paperwork. I'm automating this. And so like I I learned just enough Microsoft Word API
Nice,
and Microsoft
nice.
Excel
Nice.
API, and
Oh yeah, and you can use F sharp for that.
no, this was 3 years ago. So I,
Okay. But now you can.
I yeah, now I could. And so like I had already had my templates for Word and Excel, and then I ran it through this like transformation program that swapped out different keywords for whatever
Nice.
values. And it was great, you know, and I did it all by myself. But you know, what I learned from that is, and I'm curious what your experiences are, is when you go out your way to be an awesome developer and automate things that you just know better, like this should not be manual. I did this twice already. I'm
Mhm.
not going to do this manually again. What I've learned is as soon as there's a hiccup, as soon as there's some type of issue or some type of break, when another, in this case, sysadmin is leveraging the tool, um, they they will never ever want to use it again, right? Because somehow it was painful for them to leverage it when it broke, and so they swear off on automation, and they
Oh
just
my God.
and they just prefer the good old days of this. And they're sysadmins. These people work in technology, but they're like, okay,
Oh, they
this is
don't
my
work
Samuel
smart.
Jackson coming off Angry Black Man. But there so many people are stuck being factory workers. Like we're knowledge workers, but like, oh, I don't know if it was our grandmothers or grandfathers, but like a lot of us, like we're just so stuck on, we don't care what the most productive way is, and even if it's not there yet, refine it till we got it down to a science. They just, oh, it didn't work for me. I'm never ever using this again, and it's just a revert. Have you ever experienced something like that before?
Well, I remember 15 years ago when I started as a professional developer, it's like that's what people wanted was factory workers. They wanted to treat software like a manufacturing product and like you could swap people in and out of teams interchangeably and act like that, which was never true. And the productive people are always the ones who automated it. There's yeah, who made the code generators and the log parsers and um, so I can see how people got that way because it used to be what management wanted, but I don't see that anymore to that degree, even in enterprise. You also hit on the difference between when you write something and you run it locally, you can use F sharp, you can use whatever you want. They don't even have to know, right?
Right, right.
But as soon as you share it, then it becomes software.
Interesting point.
Or you want it to be software. And there's such a difference. I mean, I think there's like, I mean, between full software that you would like release to the public and a program, there's at least 1,000 times more effort, at least. But I mean, it only needs a little bit of software to share with your coworkers, or you need coworkers who are like acting like programmers, and we'll treat it
Hold
as a
up.
program and we'll change it, which is
Like Dilbert programmers, or what kind of programmers?
no,
Because there's
no,
a difference between programmers and
no.
craftsmen.
Programmers like people who can run a program because they can change a program. Because as soon as you hit like one of those error cases, a big difference between a program and a software is how you treat the not happy path. Every other case.
Yeah.
And in a program that you run yourself, oh, I had another case, I'll go make it do that. So you change the program, and then you're fine. You don't have to build in error path treatment until you need it.
Yeah.
And it's like they were expecting this to be software, and no, it's a program. If you run it, you better be prepared to fix it, which is what our deployment tool used to be at Stripe. But now that not everybody in the company, we don't expect all 200 engineers to be able to change the thing. Now it has to be software. And that's why we're going back and adding tests and stuff.
Oh, yeah. There's been a couple projects, or at least one that I know about, where like they would use some obscure programming language, something called auto hotkey. I don't know if you ever heard of that before. I know I haven't.
Sounds like a
But
Windows thing.
something written by an intern that wasn't well versed in computer programming because that wasn't their major in college, but they were creative enough to hack some code together, and yeah, that it ended up being useful, but not really maintainable. And I ended up getting hired to like port it over to .NET. But there's some things that I'm really curious about in regards to your conference speaking. If you don't
Okay,
mind me
go for
doing
it.
it, when did all this start?
Yeah, like so about 6 years ago in no, I guess it was in 2011. Is that five? That's so 5.5 years ago. Time someone suggested, have you ever thought about speaking? It was Ted Neward.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, no, I would love to. I guess I've thought about it, but I am not an expert in anything.
The default answer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because the only conference I've been to, and maybe this was helpful, was No Fluff Just Stuff. And since that was the only one that came to St. Louis, and all the speakers are men, and I definitely hadn't been able to picture myself speaking, but he was like, "Oh no, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to learn enough to talk about it for an hour." And I was like, "Oh, I'm good at learning things. I could totally do that." So then he like sent me suggestions of conferences to apply to and stuff. And yeah, it worked out. He told me back then. He's
You
like,
killed it. Well, I don't know if what I don't know if I consumed like your first talk or not, but
yeah, that one wasn't recorded.
Pretty big. That's the there's like you were the technical authority on it. Like, I mean, it was very like engaging. Like it makes people like really interested in learning. So
yay, that's the win.
But you already know
I don't
that.
have to be right if I just get people thinking.
Nah, you know that already. So what's it's taboo, but I have to ask, okay?
Okay.
Are you aware that you're a woman?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that, actually.
Okay. So like have you ever been frustrated with like just society and this industry? Like I've been guilty of it before and I felt really bad. Like if I go to a user group and there's like maybe 2 or 3 females there, and I'm honest enough to raise my hand and say I'm guilty of this, I will automatically stereotype them.
Well, you'll assume they're recruiters, right?
Yes, and 99% of the time I'm right. but
yeah.
but that 1%, I feel really, really bad for the same reason that I make people feel bad, especially like elderly people. I'm like, I'm at Panera Bread. Oh, do you play basketball? Look, I'm 6'7". I have like an athletic build. And I usually respond, no, I'm just tall and black. And I just stare at them. And they're like, and they just look at me and they turn their head, they kind of cock their neck to the side, like, and they're speechless. And I kind of feel the same way when I automatically stereotype a female within a group of males, and I just automatically think that she's a
okay. Step 1: say woman instead of female.
Woman. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you describe female rats as female, and that's normal. They're test subjects.
Okay. Thank you for correcting me. I don't know
You're
what
welcome.
politically correctness is. I'm a guy. I don't know anything.
Well, in the
I'm a male.
Political correctness is about like it is about making other people welcome and like caring about their feelings. Then one thing that I've learned is that women prefer. It's nicer if you say women. There's like this connotation of person there that female doesn't have.
A human side. Oh, did you go out? Hello?
I think it froze there for a second.
Okay. I'm guilty. Yo, thank you for like correcting me. I don't know any better because the thing is,
you sounded like you wanted to know. Yeah.
I'm not surrounded by women. I'm not. I'm surrounded in environments that are dominated by men. And so there's certain things that I don't purposely do. I'm just really ignorant. Thank you. I'm going to keep that in mind.
And I'm surrounded by white people, so that's one of the reasons I was happy to talk to you.
It makes me like, every time I hear a white person say African American, I feel like they're going out of their way. And I'm like, yo, there's some things
when I was a kid, that was the right thing to say, but now it's okay to say black.
You know what? All right, I'm about to go on a rant, and then we can return back to our normally scheduled program. CNN and Fox News, for some reason, apparently black people have a spokesman, right? It's Al Sharpton.
Is that Riley guy? Oh, Al Sharpton.
It's Al Sharpton. It used to be Bill Cosby. He got himself in trouble, right? And so, like, apparently, like whenever there's something going on, there's one person to speak for the entire like black race, in which that's offensive to black people. Well, you don't speak for me. But how am I saying all this? I lost my train of thought.
You were
But
having a rant about
oh, when you
the
talk about African American and all that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, but Chinese people, they don't have a spokesman. White folks, they don't have spokesmen, right? But black people, they have to have a spokesman. They'll automatically shine the camera on, out of all people, Al Sharpton or Bill Cosby. Like, really? Like, come on, man. All right, I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And some people point to Ann Coulter and be like, see, women like Republicans.
I don't even know who that is. I guess I'm not really plugged in. I stopped watching
Oh,
TV a long time ago, but I
I
can
don't
go
know.
to
She's someone,
CNN.com.
some woman who panders to male chauvinists. There's
Okay.
plenty of that. It's just like I've noticed that that I interrupt women more than I interrupt men.
Where?
That's something across our culture. People interrupt women more than they interrupt men, and that includes women.
Okay. I could probably see that. Yeah, yeah. Society's messed up, and what's even more messed up is we're not really conscious of it.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, because if you're conscious of it, then you can logically take effort to compensate.
mm. What's your position? You're probably not into like titles or positions. I want to. I want to bet you're like some principal engineer, or you're a
Oh,
fellow or whatever.
at Stripe, I'm just a developer.
Okay.
I don't know. I have some level or other that reflects seniority, and that like I have 17 years of experience now. I guess I'm some sort of very senior engineer. My previous job at Monsanto was like in the architecture department. Um,
Montana.
Monsanto.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Montana. I'm like, people live in Montana? Okay. All right.
No, but I much prefer working at small companies. And yeah, you're right. I really don't like appreciate um, titles that grant authority.
Yeah. So, all right. That's, I don't know. Whenever I talk about that stuff, it kind of stresses me out. But like, what are you up to now? Are you still going like full throttle in conference speaking? Like,
Oh, I keep trying to slow down, but it keeps not working
yeah,
because I get a
that
lot.
must
I
be
get a lot of invitations, and it's hard to say no. I still say no to more than I say yes to.
really.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and most of the invitations that I get are like Europe or farther, and I can only do so many of those a year because I have kids and work and stuff.
They're not willing to fly in your entire family.
Well, even if they could, I mean, my kids have school, and I
Oh,
can't do a conference with kids. Ah, ha, ha, ah. I
oh,
have to concentrate.
okay. Yeah, I guess I
Kids
never
and
thought about it
concentration don't go
before.
together. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and flying in my entire family would be crazy expensive too. Um, but yeah, I just got back from London, and it's 3 solid days of travel, 2 on the way out and 1 on the way back.
So, is this still feasible to like raise a family and still be like considered and you are a thought leader and give dissertations, speak at conferences, etc. Like, is it still feasible to do that, or do you have to like pick one or the other?
It's a matter of degree. I can do both poorly.
Okay.
I mean, it always feels like I should be spending more time with my kids. I just took half an hour and worked with my 11-year-old on her homework, and I'm just gonna have to do that every day for a while because she's just reached the stage where she has to get organized, and she's not organized, and that's really tough because it takes a lot of concentration and focus. And sometimes I'm like, can't just everybody let me work? My work is valuable. But everything I say, somebody else is going to say it eventually, and eventually is pretty soon. But nobody else is going to be her mom.
Yeah, point
Um,
taken.
yeah.
My rebuttal is, but they're not going to be able to deliver it like you deliver it. But I told you I'm your
Not quite
groupie,
as
man.
funny.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Which, so but I do keep speaking at conferences. I travel about once a month, either to a conference or I'll go to San Francisco for Stripe or something like that. Um, because if I don't, I just get super stir crazy and I get like cranky and stressed out. So I think I'm a better mom if I have a trip every month, even though my kids wish I stayed home all the time.
is it possible to make a living off of being a conference speaker? Or is that really just a consultant
Well,
that
apparently
has an
it
additional channel of
is.
income?
Yeah, so some people do their consultants, freelance consultants, and the conference is like building their brand.
Okay.
Um, a very few people get paid a lot to speak at conferences, like enough to be worth the time of all the travel and everything, but not very many. Um, for then there's people who are like developer evangelists whose job is to run around speaking at conferences all the time, um, to like promote whatever it is that they're representing. And then, but my position is more balanced. Stripe, well, Stripe has unlimited vacation. So is a conference a vacation? Is it work? It doesn't really matter. And they hired me knowing that I want to speak at 8 or 10 conferences a year, and they'd probably be happier if it was 6, and my kids would too, but close enough. So in there, I'm some combination of really I'm a full-time developer. I just have a lot of time off but then when I'm at conferences, I'm representing Stripe in terms of like recruiting and just see, don't I make you want to work here kind of thing. And I don't talk about Stripe much, but I could.
What
Yeah.
does unlimited vacation really mean? Does that mean that is that a glorified name for working remote? Like,
Oh, no, 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 no. Working remote is working remote. That's very different.
okay,
Because I mean, I live in St. Louis and Stripe is in San Francisco. Uh,
Ferguson. I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
blurted that
yeah.
out.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God. Yeah, that was hard.
It reminds me of the city, or Cleveland Heights, which yeah, they have a certain way of collecting taxes, and they play the law of statistics to do it. So
Oh, yeah.
anyway, I'm not going to go
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's kind of okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I could talk about that. Um, right. I live in St. Louis. Stripe is in San Francisco. About 30% of Stripe engineers are remote. I think remote work is really great and efficient. And like the only way you're going to get really exceptional senior engineers in any sort of numbers.
you think so?
Yeah.
I'm not challenging you. I was just surprised to hear that because that's my very first time hearing it. In a way, it makes sense because I mean, you have to be like the bomb company for someone that is really good to drop everything that they're doing and commit to moving 1,000, 2,000 miles in a foreign environment,
Well,
risking everything to work for you.
unless you're hiring new grads, then you're fine, you know? I mean,
Yeah,
there's a certain demographic um, of people, mostly new grads, especially men, who can just
males.
move across the country, who
Sorry.
can live in San Francisco in a tiny closet, and that's okay. That's $2,000 a month. Um, but then everybody, all those companies are hiring from this same tiny pool of people who can afford and are willing to live there.
Yeah, I've been looking for work in New York City,
Hmm.
and I actually changed the address on my resume to be a Jersey City address where my friend lives, so I could start getting that market. I'm certainly considering like um, getting into Wall Street and building financial applications or trading systems because I still love
Oh
WPF.
yeah. What's that
Uh,
one place Rachel Reese works?
she works
That's in F
in New
sharp.
Jersey, Jet.com.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've tried.
Aw.
They reject my application every single time. I
Oh,
play every week,
wait, wait, wait.
but
Okay, well, yeah. And then, I mean, my suggestion would be to ask Rachel to have one of these conversations.
I met Rachel in person at the NDC London,
She's super
and
nice.
uh, and that's when I knew absolutely nothing about F sharp. But I had flew all the way over there just so
Wow.
that I can like just absorb it from the powers that be that write books about it. And I
Huh.
mean, I won't say that I'm intermediate, but I feel like I'm like at the beginning level of intermediate within F sharp.
Hmm.
It's a fascinating language.
Yeah, and to move up, you really need to work with other people who are using it.
Yeah, or else I'm not really aware of code smells. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
still leverage Stack Overflow and the different like forums within Stack Overflow. So like my unofficial mentor, which he will probably never ever accept me as a student, is Mark Seaman. He probably answers like 60% of my questions on F sharp.
I'm
I'm not sure if you're familiar with Mark Seaman, but he's like one of
I've met him,
the
I think.
yeah, he's a F sharp guru. And he has like 160. He's probably at like 180,000 points right now on Stack Overflow. But yeah, I mean, I'm really fascinated with that language, and it's like my thought process is like I
Maybe I
don't
just
know.
follow him on Twitter.
I'm still a what's that?
I don't remember whether I've met him or I just follow him on Twitter. Oh,
He's really active on Twitter, but like my thought process was, hey, in 60 months, I think that's like 5 years. I I guess I want to believe. So maybe that's called faith. I have faith that these functional first languages. I'm not sure about fully functional Haskell, but like functional first languages. And I think Scala is really close to being there now because there's a lot of jobs in Scala
oh yeah.
compared to F sharp. Within
Hmm.
60 months, when that hopefully when that transition occurs, like I'll be considered a forefather because I've been like asking questions since like 2015 on F
Hey,
sharp.
and good on you for asking the questions because every question that he answered for you is a question that a bunch of people had and you got it out there. So good job.
Oh, half my points are from Stack Overflow from asking questions. I told somebody else that I got 3,500 points on Stack Overflow, which I think is decent for someone that's not like hella brilliant. But like half my questions are just, or half of the content that I post on there, are in the form of questions, and some of them are
Yeah,
kind of
good,
popular,
brilliant,
so
good
people vote them
effort.
up. So yeah, thanks for the
Yeah,
encouragement.
it. I mean, it takes somebody asking the question to get the answer out there.
Yeah, sometimes they grill me though. Like sometimes they make me feel. I said sometimes, not the majority of the time, but sometimes like they make me feel really, really bad because I didn't do enough homework. I didn't
Oh
like
God.
reread the whole
Seriously?
specification
You
section
know, if you didn't get
4.3.2.
it, then somebody else is going to need it, and that question is needed out there on Google.
Yeah, but there's one person on Stack Overflow. This I assume whoever that person is, they hate my guts. I don't know what I did to them, but they every question I ask, they downvote, and then they add they make a snarky comment. You know, they post a
Oh, how
snarky comment, and like,
irritating.
yeah, that's what
Ah,
prevents people from like raising their hand and asking questions and
it
keeping people
is.
dumb.
And it drives women away more than men.
Yeah, but the dude is really smart. I mean,
See, it's not
honestly,
about brilliance. Points are not about brilliance. Points are about effort in this and about helpfulness. And it's the helpful people who get a ton of points.
yeah. Well, he does help me. He just makes me feel dumb.
Oh, that
Like
sucks.
the
God
guy is
damn it.
brilliant, right? He is. I can't take that away from him. But man, he
No,
has
but
an
he can
issue
still
with
be
me.
but he'd still, I don't know. From just, well, from your experience, he's not a net asset to the site. I should say they. We haven't established that he's male.
Man, or hold on. Yeah, we haven't established she's a man, or a gentleman. But no, I'm gonna stop messing with you. Yeah. So, what was your like changing subject?
Mhm.
What was your first impression or your first like thought when I was like, "Hey, you want to record a conversation with me?" And I just left it like that.
Oh, uh, I figured it would be like some sort of podcast thing, and that's cool.
Okay.
And then I found your blog, and I was like, oh yeah, Google Hangouts, record. This is a great idea.
Cool. There's like, I think maybe 2/3 of the people that I reach out to, and I just leave it very short. I don't go into detail about what the agenda is or anything. I know it's like it kind of goes back to the very beginning of what we were talking about people that say yeah by default and people that say no.
Hmm.
Um, like 2/3 of the people, like they they have to know everything. They want to know like what is it about. You know, I understand people are busy, they have families and stuff, but like, yo, you could terminate the conversation after like 15, 20 minutes. There's some people that they just need to know every single thing.
But conversations with random people are the best. I mean, this is the biggest reason I do conferences
I enjoy it.
and like user groups and podcasts. I learned a ton on Ruby Rogues and
Ruby
now on Greater
Rose.
Than Code. Um,
I
the
have to write this stuff down. I'm gonna replay this whole session and I'm gonna write down those podcast shows. I never heard of them. Only thing that
oh, okay.
I enjoy is Elixir
Greater
Fountain.
Than Code. Write that one down.
I will. I will. Oh, we have a viewer.
That's our current podcast. And I'm a panelist and I get to invite um, guests, but everybody else does too. So every week I've got a conversation with somebody interesting. It's really cool.
I enjoy it. I learned a lot, and I think one of the biggest things that I really appreciate is some of the struggles that I go through. Like I'm not alone, and it's so refreshing. It's so refreshing to know that
Yeah.
there's other people that um, they have the same struggles or they have the same passion that I have. And like it's refreshing that yo, I'm not the only person that like really enjoys building, and I really have this hunger to learn more so that I could be faster and produce that at a higher quality. And like a lot of people are like, hey Scott, yo, slow down. Yo, this is the factory line. You can't be showing out here, scallywag. That's kind of the vibe that I feel in a lot of these
Yeah.
shops. But it's refreshing to
Yeah.
like talk to people that they love building,
And whole
and
companies. There are whole companies of these people, lots of them.
well, Google and Microsoft, I'm not intelligent enough to get past their interviews, but like if there's a startup that has a handful of people, I think I would do some damage, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So your
And you
your
look at the
face
new
twisted when I made that comment about not being smart enough to get into Google or Microsoft, but
well, okay, not having the background to get past their interviews is plausible because oh god, don't get me started on interviews.
no, get started. And feel free to terminate this conversation whenever, because I understand that you have certain obligations.
Oh, I have a 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So that's like 4 minutes.
All
Shoot.
right.
I better not get started on interviews.
It's
I just
good.
I yeah. I don't think they do a good job measuring. Actually, I worked at a startup once, Outpace, and their interview process was my favorite. It was really just a pairing interview where you write some code together. And we'd have like two outpacers and interviewing typically one person. Um, and I think didn't we? Yeah. And it would just there would be a lot of conversation, but it was like a real coding experience where we coded like something actual, not whiteboard, nothing contrived.
Hmm.
And that was a small enough company that it was okay that the hiring was pretty uniform. Now at Stripe, we're big enough that it's my opinion that teams should have like variations in the hiring process, but we try to make it all uniform. And I think that I do a lot of like the first interview, just the screen, which is a pairing interview, which is great. And overall, I think our interview process is pretty good. But the set of people that I would like to work with and the set of people that I think will pass our on-site interview are quite different sets.
Oh, wow.
So really, I guess I'm just complaining that they don't have the same hiring priorities I do personally.
Oh, I would love to hear more about that, but I know that we can't right now. Jessica Kerr, right? I said that right, Kerr.
My husband says care, but I don't care.
Jessica Kerr. Your Twitter is Jessitron. Jessitron.
Yes.
And is there anything else? How else do people discover your content? Do you maintain a blog or something?
I have a rather sad website at Jessitron.com, which I should really update. I do have a blog at blog.jessitron.com. But Twitter is my favorite medium for sharing.
All right,
and just Google. Conveniently, Jessitron is fairly unique.
Okay. All right, we have 2 more minutes, so I'm just going to go ahead and stop this right now. 3, 2, 1.